Hey, what's good? We're back again. So I had to my memory card was full because I had some other footage on the camera, I guess. So yeah, but I cleared up some space, so now we're back to the video. And then we just talked about fiat currency, and I think I was holding this up when it went off. So let me just give you, I kind of changed the zoom a little bit. So if you can see that, I can't really see where I'm at. Okay, well that was fiat money. Now we'll talk about electronic money. And this is where the era we're in today, on this electronic money stuff. And it's gotten pretty nuts, I'd say. I'm only 23 years old, so I lived through, I was pretty young during the first quote-unquote financial crisis of 2008, the double dip recession they called it. The 2008 housing crisis is also another name for it. Mortgage-backed securities and all that stuff. I'll probably have a video on that because that's interesting. And then now with this coronavirus recession, I guess, or depression, we'll call it. I guess this is probably a depression. Yes, all I'm gonna say is electronic money is, now that I'm trying to make some money, electronic money is pretty interesting.
Down 1.7% here, a loss of 37 points or so. Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5% generally across these markets. Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate. We're red everywhere, essentially, down by 4-5%.
We're down over 16%. Dow at the same time has fallen about 18%.
The stock market is now down 21%.
Because we're now down 43%.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
Two-year note yields went from 190 to 166 in the blink of an eye.
On the NASDAQ, everything and more has been completely wiped out.
It was the worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
Okay. Electronic money. Okay, so most money in most countries today exists only in electronic format. So actually the vast majority of money exists only digitally. So forget about fiat currency, if anything like that had its day. It's all about electronic money now. I don't even know how much, I guess it's still fiat money, right? Because they carry over, because the government decrees its value. But, we're not talking about paper currency anymore, I'd probably say. So fiat money is still around, but it's not really paper currency anymore. Now it's electronic digital currency, which is even more liquid, arguably, than just the paper. So it's essentially quite literally what money is today. Technically, literally technically, is records and databases of financial institutions. So we're just gonna say currency equals records in databases of financial institutions. And funny thing, you could do a lot with records in a database, just from a purely computer science standpoint. So if money is data, that's interesting. Like, but just think about like JP Morgan Chase Bank, for example, or like the New York Federal Reserve. Like, those are financial institutions that definitely have our definition of currency within them, and they manage that. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's electronic money. I mean, it's not even too complex, right? You've banked before, or odds are, if you're not a kid watching this, you've been to your bank, and you most likely have your bank online, right? So like the records of your currency is actually accessible to you over the internet now. And that's all computer science, all of that stuff, like the way they bring it from the database to your side of the net. But that's electronic money now. And actually, I think they say like 97% of, at least in the US, or 97% of US dollars, and if you think about it, US dollars are actually currency in many countries because the US trades with so many countries. So, in terms of US dollars, 97% of US dollars actually exist electronically. So, not even in the paper currency format. You only have 3% is in paper currency and coin. You have 97% in electronic currency in terms of US dollars. So actually that's just a profound stat. I didn't even write that as a bullet on the paper, but I'll write it on this. 97% of US money, I'll just say, exists as digital currency. And that's interesting. So now we'll just talk about blockchain, to be honest, on this, because that's kind of where this is going, like the interesting part. So decentralization. So think about data, like records in databases. That's what currency legit is. I mean, technically. Records in a database. So, I mean, if we're talking about blockchain and decentralization of the financial institution, what about encrypted, hashed records on everyone's computer that's in the network? So if all people had access to a computer locally that they could do, I mean, essentially they're banking from, right? Not like just transactions. Like, so forget about banking. If people could just do their own transactions locally, or like without a bank, that's the whole thing about decentralization. Like, just be able to like locally interact. That'd be kind of more of along the representative currency commodity side, just because you don't need that central authority doesn't really need to be there. It's like having that representative currency, like for that basketball game or whatever, like that you were betting on, like that I was talking about earlier. But say you just like, so I mean, if you have it's not quite, I guess I shouldn't use that example, but it's just more of, if you just have two people, they can make a transaction and it doesn't really matter what the financial institution's doing. That's the thing. Like, so it's supposed to be trustless. It technically still matters, but like it matters in a representative currency sense. So there just needs to be some store of value, and then two people. Well, to be honest, it could end up being fiat too. So I won't even go there. Like, it could still be fiat, but it would just be a decentralized fiat system. Like, so when I see, because in a fiat system, the central authority is the one that keeps control, and it's supposed to be a representative government that central authority is comprised from. But if you just had a fully democratized government that is in charge of issuing its own currency, see how many problems that actually probably lead to, not gonna lie, but that take care of some other problems. But that'd be that'd make like a Wild West. But hey, I mean, the technology is there to do it. So if we just had encrypted hashed records on everyone's computer in the network, so like only that person with the keys would know the true values they stored, and then you'd have to have a network consensus to ground the transaction too. So that's very interesting. Combining the blockchain with the electronic money, that's just kind of a mind fuck to think about, not gonna lie. Yeah, my next bullet was ultimately if these blockchain protocols end up working, it may change what we consider to be electronic money, which is very true. But my next bullet was it should ultimately be exchangeable and interoperable with fiat, representative, and commodity monies, which it probably will be. Like with fiat money, a lot of banks are like already starting to make their own digital currencies. In the US and China kind of jumped on that pretty quick. Like I think a few of the highest rated coins on, what's that site? On Coinbase, I think it is, like just the exchange. I think like 3 or 4 of them are like the top 20 are like US dollar kind of things. And then China, of course, has its own, like, they're already on that blockchain in terms of putting their society on digital currency and all that stuff. How it would be with representative money, I think in the last video I talked about that one company that was trying to basically mine diamonds, and those would be the stores of value for their, for the tokens they would hand out essentially. I think there was 2 companies doing that, and those 2 companies were actually completely different from the one that I had read about a few months ago. So it seems like that's an interesting idea, the diamond thing. And then, yeah, interoperative with commodity monies. I mean, people are trying to talk about putting homes and stuff on the blockchain. So if you want to talk about a commodity, imagine having homes on a blockchain. Imagine having basically a WeWork that works on a blockchain, a WeWork type business on a blockchain. So you're talking about office space being put on a blockchain, renting out office space. That's something that they only do in cities, to be honest, and it would probably actually work just because cities are nuts. From what I've been to a lot. I'm kind of a country person, I realized recently, but even now Sacramento's turning into a city, so we'll see what happens after COVID. But yeah, that's basically it, honestly. And then hoping to make this one shorter than the last one, so I'm just gonna stop it there. Remember, stay healthy. Hopefully I'll edit this one pretty cool, put some nice music in there. Yep, that's pretty much it. Stay healthy is the key. Alright, peace out.